Hi everyone, and welcome back to the My Favorite Things YouTube channel. In today's video we are going to be recreating a card that was designed by design team member Joy using new products from the August 2017 release. For today's card we're going to be using the new Happy Hauntings stamp set to create some images here, and then we're also going to use a bunch of different other elements and create a really fun little surprise on this card. So to start off, I want to do some stamping and embossing to create my background image. So I have the little stars from the Happy Haunting stamp set, and I'm stamping them onto a piece of white cardstock with some Versamark ink. Now it's kind of hard to see where you've stamped on white cardstock when you're using this ink since it is clear. So what I like to do is do a couple of the stamped images and then add my embossing powder over top. I don't heat set it as I go, I just add it so that I'm able to see where I've already stamped, and this helps to prevent me from stamping on top of images that I've already stamped on there. And then once I have all of the stars completely stamped and have the embossing powder added, I go ahead with my heat tool and fully emboss that so it's all set in the background. Now it's hard to see here that I even have the star detail on there because it is white embossing powder on white cardstock, but as we start to add our ink, you're going to be able to see those stars a little bit better. So now I have some various colors of ink here. I have an orange, a purple, and a gray, and I'm using the mini cloud edges stencil and I'm adding cloud detail to this panel. When I stamped and embossed all of the stars on the panel, I kind of concentrated them in the center area because I know I'm going to be die cutting this background with a circle die, so I don't need to completely cover the entire panel. So now as I'm adding the cloud detail, I'm doing the same. I'm concentrating the clouds mainly in the middle area since I am going to be die cutting this, and I'm going to end up with this really fun cloud background. I really love the colors Joy used on here. I would have never thought to mix purple and orange and gray for clouds, but I think it really adds to our overall scene and really gives it that Halloween feel. Now you can see as I kind of tilt this, you're able to see the little embossed stars that we've added to the background, and now we can go ahead and start to put some of the pieces of the card together. So for the card base, I have a top folding A2 size card, which is 4¼ inches by 5½ inches, and it is cement gray ink, and I've covered that with a little panel of white cardstock. And this is where we're going to build our scene. So I've taken foam adhesive and added it to the back of our cloud little circle here that we've created, and I'm going to adhere this right to the middle area of the card. I'm going to position it kind of towards the top because we're going to add some images here, and I need some area at the bottom to be able to add those images on. So now that we have the main card base put together, we can go ahead and do our stamping and coloring of our images. So I've stamped the little girl trick-or-treater and the little pumpkin there, that's her little treat bucket. I've stamped those onto a piece of white cardstock with some black licorice hybrid ink, and I'm using my Copic markers to color in this image. Now I did stamp and color that little pumpkin bucket, but I ended up not using it in my design. I decided to leave it off and just have the girl be the focus on the card, but you can definitely add that image in if you do want to have that on your card. Now for her hair, I'm just using some dark gray Copic colors here, and I'm just kind of leaving a little bit of white area in the center of her hair for some highlight, and then I'm adding some color into the bottom area of her hair. I really love these images. They're really cute and whimsical, and I just really kind of like their big heads and their tiny bodies. I just think they're a lot of fun, and I love that they're in Halloween costumes. To finish her off, I'm doing some skin colors, so I'm using some E11, E00, and E13. This is my favorite combination to do skin colors, and I'm just adding all of this color on there, and I'm not worrying about coloring in her legs or her feet because we're not going to see those in the finished card design. Once I had all of the coloring done, I took the coordinating dies and I die cut both of my images, and now they're all ready to go for the little scene that we're going to create. Now next up we want to add a little envelope to the scene using the mail delivery and the mini mail Die-namics. So we're going to be creating both an envelope and a little mail slot. So I have some pattern paper from the Dots and Stripes Brights paper pack, and we're going to use this to cut out both our envelope and our liner that's going to go on the inside of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and run these through my die cut machine, and you can see here now I have the purple polka dot envelope and I have the little liner out of the striped orange paper that we're going to add to the middle. The mini envelope is really easy to assemble. I just like to use 1/8 inch score tape on the bottom flap and add a little bit of adhesive to both sides of that. And then I just fold in the 2 side flaps and then fold that bottom flap up, and that's going to completely adhere your envelope together. Before I do that though, I do want to add the liner piece, so I added that to the back area, and then I just tucked in those 2 side flaps and folded up the bottom, and now we have this really cute envelope that has the fun liner on the inside. I just love this die. I think it is so cute, and I think there's so many great things that you can do with it. So now for the mail delivery die, I've cut this one out of some black cardstock, so we have our little mail slot here. So what this die does is it creates the mail slot, but it doesn't fully cut out the entire inside piece. It has a hinge detail at the top so that our little mail slot can kind of lift open and show the mail on the inside. Now I have the interactive label stamp set here. This is a really fun stamp set for any type of interactive cards because it allows you to add the word onto the card telling the recipient what they can do with the card. So for this little mail slot die, we're going to add the word lift and a little up arrow in the center area of the mail slot. And I'm stamping this with Versamark ink so that I can once again heat emboss with some white embossing powder. Once I have that heat emboss, I can go ahead and set that aside and create the next element that we're going to add to our card. So I have the new Essential Speech Bubbles Die-namics, and I'm going to stamp a sentiment from the Fab-BOO-Lous stamp set onto this, and I've die cut it from some Wild Wisteria cardstock. And once again, we are going to do some heat embossing, so I've stamped it with Versamark ink, and I'm going to cover that completely with my white embossing powder and heat set that. Now that is kind of a small image, so I like to use tweezers to kind of hold it so I don't have any problems with my fingers getting burnt when I'm doing the heat embossing. So now that we have all of these fun little elements, we can start to assemble our card. So I first adhered the mail slot onto the envelope, and then I tucked the little girl image underneath of there. And then I'm also adding an inside piece to the mail slot with the same black cardstock, just so that we don't see that envelope or the die cut image when we lift the opening of the mail slot. I'm adding adhesive to the back of this completed piece, and I'm putting regular adhesive at the top and then foam adhesive at the bottom. And that's just because we're going to layer this over that circle, and since that's already raised off of the card with foam adhesive, we need to do the same thing to the bottom of the die cut piece. I'm adding the speech bubble that we created at the top area of that circle, and once again I put some foam adhesive on there just for some added dimension. And then I do have that little treat bucket there, and I was originally going to adhere it, but then I ended up liking it without, so I decided not to add that to the finished card. So now to add our fun little surprise and finish the card off, I'm taking a little set of googly eyes here and I'm adding some adhesive to these, and I'm adhering them on the inside of that mail slot. So it kind of looks like when you open up the mail slot, there's someone peeking out at you with googly eyes. I thought it was a really fun idea that Joy came up with, and I just thought it made the card super fun and interactive. And then once I have those adhered, we have finished our card and we have this really fun interactive Halloween card. Thank you so much to Joy for creating this card that we were able to recreate in today's class, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.